Let's move on to the second email today. And the second email today comes to us from one of our Patreon supporters, Kevin Ward. And first of all, Kevin, thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. And Kevin writes, I just read that due to the high demand for the December 15th screenings of the Aquaman movie, they decided to expand to 100 more theaters. I was wondering, though, how will that affect its opening weekend box office? December 15th is the Saturday prior to its wide release. Will the Saturday screenings get lumped into its quote-unquote opening weekend numbers the way that Thursday previews typically do? Thanks. All right, thanks a lot for the question, Kevin. And yes, so as many of you guys know, there is Aquaman officially opens December 21st. We all know that really means Thursday the 20th. So that's when it officially opens. But Amazon Prime has partnered with Warner Brothers to create a special fan night event where they're going to be screening for one night, December 15th, 7 p.m. You can watch Aquaman. You could buy, as a Amazon Prime member, you could buy up to 10 tickets. I bought 6. So I'm going to go see it. Then I'm going to see it this week as well. But then I'm going to go see it on Saturday, or I'm going to see it on that December 15th as well. I've got my tickets. I'm looking forward to it. Now, how will this opening night special screening affect the opening weekend box office? My understanding is this. The receipts for this special screening will not count towards their opening weekend. It doesn't count towards their opening weekend. It does count towards their overall box office, but it does not count for its opening weekend. Here's a good example. There are films that open on a Wednesday sometimes. Those Wednesdays do not count as their opening weekend. There are long holiday weekends, and you'll get 2 separate numbers. You'll get the long holiday weekend numbers, but then you just get the opening weekend numbers that don't count the extra days in the holiday. So understanding that, since that has been the pattern and the way they attribute the opening weekend box office, if they do that with long weekends, I just have to assume at this point they're going to apply that same principle to these special Saturday screenings. It'll count towards the box office, but it won't count towards its opening weekend. Now, speaking of Aquaman and its box office, though, that does raise the question, how is Aquaman's box office going to do? We're seeing opening weekend projections that range from $65 million to $100 million. So there's a $35 million range there right now. I'm thinking Aquaman's going to come in a little under $100 million, which is still way exceeding the earliest projections that they had. I think we're looking at a good solid $70 to $80 million opening weekend for Aquaman. That's what I think we're going to get. Now, in the grand scheme of things, if it does come in around $70, $80, $90 million opening weekend, where does that position Aquaman in terms of the DCEU? Well, technically speaking, it would make it the lowest opening weekend in all of the DCEU movies. You can see the highlighted numbers there. Justice League opened with $93 million. Then Wonder Woman opened with $103 million. Man of Steel opened with $116. Suicide Squad opened with $133. And the biggest opening weekend in the DCEU's history was Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice with $166 million. So if Aquaman comes in around 70, 80, or 90, that will make it the lowest opening weekend in the DCEU. However, let's not forget this. These Christmas movies that open in this window, they don't always have the biggest opening weekends, but they tend to have longer legs, right? So Aquaman may very well become the lowest opening for a DCEU movie, but it could end up one of the top 2 or 3 overall box office grossing films for the DCEU, and that will include numbers from that Saturday, from the Saturday the 15th special screening. So anyway, that's how I'm kind of seeing it right now. That's the way I believe it's going to shake out. Thanks a lot for the question, man.